Hello everyone, this is John Dynak, and this is my persuasive speech. I decided to do my speech on buying American-made goods because I think it's something that not a lot of people do, and it's something that we should start doing. Buying American-made goods is good because it helps the economy, it provides more jobs, and it makes the U.S. a lot less dependent on other countries. Of course, there's things like oil where we don't really have an unlimited supply, and then there's also companies will have to buy supplies from other countries, but that's a lot less than buying a full product. So that's why it's only a little bit less dependent than completely independent, I guess you could say. It's good because more money stays here because there's less imports. We're not spending all of our money throwing it away to these other countries. Companies that have moved from America to other countries for the lower paying workers will have to move back because they're not going to be getting any money from their biggest buyer, which is America. The US won't have to rely on China for almost everything. China is 18.4% of US imports. So you can see how that's a bad thing. It's almost a fifth of our imports is just from one country. American goods people can buy instead of these imported goods to try and help. Do you buy some home decor that just says "Made in America" on it? Don't do "Made in Taiwan." I think that's usually closed though, or anything like that. Jewelry, you can buy American-made jewelry. These are just things that I just feel like most people have or buy anyway, so why not buy American? Clothes, a good clothes company to buy from would be Always Made in USA. They donate 10% of the profit to Children of Fallen Soldiers Relief Fund, so you can see how that's a good thing. So not only do they donate their profits, but also you're helping America by giving them your money. So you're helping, that company helps America a lot. Another thing you do is buy cars from American-made car companies, like Ford or something like that. And that just, especially cars because they're a lot of money, that helps a lot. How does buying American-made goods help the economy? Well, first, the U.S. won't be spending all their money on imports. All the money will be spent on companies that are right here, and then also just on goods that the company needs to make their product. The U.S. won't spend money on, or no, sorry. All money will circulate only in the U.S. because obviously the U.S. will be buying U.S.-made products. So there you go, right there. And then other countries will want to buy from the U.S. If the U.S. is making all these things, like making our own clothes and not buying clothes, other countries will want to buy clothes from us because that's where the business is, right? It'd be good. America should bring the business to them, and then we get the money. That just helps the economy grow and everything like that. How does buying American-made goods provide more jobs? So like I said earlier, the companies that have moved from America to get low-pay workers move back because no one will be buying any of their products, and that's not good. They're not making any money there, so they got to come back, and they're obviously going to need workers, so there you go. You got more jobs, unemployment rate goes down. Another reason why it provides more jobs, more new companies will show up and sprout out of nowhere because there's companies that, we don't have companies that make certain products. Like, I don't know any off the top of my head, but there's some things that America does not make, and those companies will have to be made so that America gets those items or products. So those companies will get to sprout out and show up and everything like that. How does this buying American-made goods make the U.S. less dependent? Well, of course, we wouldn't depend on places like China or Japan, and because we're buying all stuff from them right now. So if something happens to them, we get hurt, and then what do? Just some examples of things that we import from China. America spends $101.2 billion on electrical equipment alone. Just electric equipment. That's it. On machines, engines, and pumps, $97.8 billion straight to China. And that's just giving them the money, and then it's also got to get here somehow, right? So on toys and games now, this one is really surprising. $23.7 billion. That's a lot for toys and games. I understand electric equipment and machines and engines and pumps. That stuff we really need, but toys and games, I think they gotta calm down a little bit. Furniture, lighting, lights up there, and then also signs. I guess that would be like street signs or for sale signs and stuff like that. $22.7 billion goes into just that. I can see how that's kind of needed, lights and everything, but I feel like lights might not be that hard to make. A company should be able to make that in America. Footwear, just shoes, $17.5 billion just from shoes from China. I'm sure America buys shoes from other countries. This is just some of the top things bought from China. And another thing is clothing. So the rest of the clothing, just shoes is more than the rest of clothing from China, and the rest of clothing is $15.57 billion. And then overall, based on stats from 2011, America spent $417.3 billion on China imports, so almost $500 billion just on Japan. Another big country we import from is Japan. I mean, I think I said China for the last part. Just $417.3 billion to China. And then this is things from Japan here. $42.3 billion spent on cars and other vehicles. So that there you see how it would help if we bought American-made cars from companies like Ford. Machines, engines, and pumps we spend $32 billion on. And then also we buy electronic equipment from Japan just as well as we buy the machines and engines and pumps from Japan and from China also. $18.6 billion on electronic equipment, and that brings electronic equipment just to $120 billion just from these two different countries, and then machines and engines around $120 billion just from these two countries. So it's getting a little up there. The total amount we spend on Japanese imports is $132.4 billion, and obviously most of that is just machines, engines, pumps, and the electrical equipment, but it's still a lot for those kind of things. So it makes sense if even just the stuff we spend most on is the kind of things that we make here. In Germany, we spend around $100 billion. In the United Kingdom, $52 billion. Canada and Mexico, surprisingly, Canada is $320 billion, and Mexico is $265 billion. So I did not believe that those would be that high. I thought Japan would be higher than both of those. So as you, there's also several billions that we spend on send to other countries as well for their products. Eventually, if you add it all up in 2011, America imported a total of $2.263 trillion worth of imports. Then also in 2011, the U.S. exported $1.48 trillion in exported goods. So you can see how there's a huge difference there. I know it's only 1.8 or so, but it's 1.8 trillion. So you can see where there's a lot of money there that's just disappearing, and America's losing a year. And that's just in imports and exports. There's other things that they'd be losing from. So it's really hurting the economy that America is importing and spending more money than they can export. And most of the exported stuff is stuff that we've imported and are just selling for maybe more or something, or even just the same price because we know we're not going to use it. So let's just get rid of it, because then we just have waste here. But that is pretty much it for mine on buying American-made goods. Thank you for watching, and that was my persuasive speech.